Members of Congress are demanding answers about the mysterious drones flying over New Jersey and New York. While the White House is downplaying the threats to public and national security, Senator Andy Kim joined law enforcement Thursday night to actually observe drone activity in one New Jersey county. Then he shared this video, writing that he saw, quote, quite a few that looked like they were moving in small clusters of 2 to 4. We clearly saw several that would move horizontally and then immediately switch back in the opposite direction in maneuvers that planes can't do. The people of New Jersey, Kim argues, deserve more answers than they are getting. And residents want answers, too.
Sounded like a helicopter. Looked out the window and you saw lights, in the sky, like a green light, red light.
Do you get the impression the federal government knows way more than what they're revealing to people?
Absolutely. Without a doubt.
I want to bring in NBC's Ryan Nobles. So, as I said, Ryan, lawmakers have questions. Their constituents have questions. Are there any plans, for a briefing, for some meetings? What are you hearing on the Hill?
Yeah, first of all, Chris, this is really an organic issue here on Capitol Hill. It is one that came from the bottom up. It was the result of constituents just firing up the phones and calling their members of Congress upset and concerned about what they were seeing in the skies above them. And that is what led so many senators and members of Congress to then call on the administration to be more transparent about what they know about these aircraft that are in the skies above New Jersey and in New York, Connecticut now, even all the way down to Maryland. And you're right, it was remarkable, that tweet thread that was put up by the newly elected Senator Andy Kim, who actually went out and witnessed this with his own eyes. He wasn't just taking his constituents' word for it. I want to read for you part of a letter that Senator Richard Blumenthal has sent looking for more information. He says, with the growing number of reported drone activities in the region, it is critical that the FAA take immediate and comprehensive action to ensure the safety of the airspace. I therefore request the Federal Aviation Administration provide briefing regarding a comprehensive plan coordinated with interagency partners on addressing these concerns. These briefings should cover all details available regarding these drones as to ownership, operation, impacts on aviation, national security, and privacy. And what this kind of alludes to, Chris, is this idea that the average American is not just going to take the government's word for it. We saw John Kirby come out at the White House yesterday and say, don't worry about this. We don't believe it's a foreign actor, but we don't know what it is. And that is what has made people even more concerned. If you don't know what it is, then that doesn't make us feel better. And listen to what Congressman Josh Gottheimer had to say to that exact point.
What's driving me crazy, and I think a lot of my colleagues in the state government and, of course, federally, is that the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security, who are chiefly responsible for monitoring and being aware of what's up in the skies, is not giving us a public briefing, giving us enough information, telling us exactly where these drones are coming from, who's sending them up. Are they all unlicensed and unregistered? What are they? And I think people deserve to know.
And so to answer the original question you had, Chris, yes, there are plans for briefings to begin. We know that they've happened at the staff level here on Capitol Hill, but they haven't been all that revealing. And the problem that many of these members of Congress see is that even if they get classified briefings where perhaps they're given more information that would calm some of their fears, that won't be enough for their constituents. They want this information to be made available publicly and as transparent as possible, because their fear is, and it's really already playing out, that in the absence of those hard facts, that conspiracy theories are going to run wild on the internet and just make people even more alarmed. So, in other words, it's not enough to just say, it's okay, don't worry about it. You need to know why it's okay and not to worry about it. And that's what we see members of Congress demanding right now. Chris?
If there's one thing we know, in the absence of facts, often wild theories fill the void. Ryan Nobles, thank you for that. Joining us now, the mayor of Belleville, New Jersey, Michael Melham. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Mayor. What are you seeing where you are?
So about 2 days ago, we started seeing a lot of activity over our airspace here in Belleville. And you have to understand, we're in the New York metro area. We are close proximity to Newark Liberty International Airport. And we have residents that are reporting flying objects only a couple hundred feet above their homes. And it's definitely cause for concern here.
When you say a lot, can you kind of quantify it? And I wonder how much you're hearing from people in your community.
So I am hearing and I'm seeing. So last night alone, social media was abuzz. Members of our police department saw activity. One of our officers actually is a drone operator. He took some great video. Another person is actually a flight attendant that lives here in Belleville, and she witnessed 4 drones just hovering right over one of our highways. That's a direct conduit to Newark International Airport. And then social media was abuzz between the parents' pages and the community groups, everybody sharing their video above their houses.
So I wonder who else you've been in touch with. Have you been in touch with your members of Congress? Have you been in touch with?
Sure.
Who are you talking to, and are you getting any answers from anyone?
So on Wednesday, there was an unprecedented meeting. Never in the history of New Jersey has every single mayor been invited to a closed-door security meeting. So about 200 of us attended that meeting hosted by the state police and New Jersey Homeland Security. We were in that briefing, and we learned very little. It could have literally been a 5-minute Zoom meeting. Instead, they corralled us all into one big room to tell us what they know, which is very little. So at this point, when I left that meeting on Wednesday, we knew exactly what the state knew. Which was very little. But there was some things that came out of it. They did tell us that they know for a fact that these drones are hovering over our critical infrastructure, which is, depending on how you look at that, it's either alarming or it can be kind of settling. If we know who they are, if they're the bad actors that are hovering over our critical infrastructure, well, that's bad. But if it's actually our own government that put up assets in the sky to keep eyes and ears on our infrastructure, well, that could be something that's comforting. We just don't know yet.
So I don't think need to tell you, but as a politician, constituent services have got to be at the top of your list if you want to keep the job, number one. Sure. So what do you do if people are calling you, if people are, I'm assuming they recognize you and stop you on the street or whatever, and you don't have any answers for them?
It's difficult, especially as an elected official, as you said, to not have answers. Sadly, all we do is tell them that, we want, if you see something, say something. We have a direct line here in Belleville and every municipality in New Jersey. We have a direct line to the FBI. We are told to take those reports and upload them directly into the system, which we have done. But when you have our governor, going out on social media saying, we don't know what it is, but we don't think it's a credible threat. You can't have it both ways. And I got to tell you something, never in the history of New Jersey have 200 plus mayors been in the same room for a critical briefing, and the governor didn't even show up. That was insulting to all of us who took the 2 to 3 hour round trip ride to go to this meeting. To have him not show up and have him only out on social media saying, I don't know what it is, but I could tell you that it doesn't seem like a credible threat. You can't have it both ways.
So we're out of time, but what would you like to know? Is it just a simple, straightforward question answered of what is it?
So if I had one question to ask, I wouldn't be asking whose drones they are. They have blinking lights. They mirror FAA regulations. I'm going to assume that they are going to be federal assets. I want to know what they're doing, what they're looking for. They are flying in a grid fashion. They're not up in the sky taking a picture and getting lost. They're hanging out night after night, flying in a grid formation. They are patrolling. They are looking for something. I want to know what they're looking for.